For us, it's about we help professional firms grow, and it's about acting quickly based on a number of core principles that come up time and again, and that was our method pre-pandemic. But there's a perfect storm now. Catherine's talked about the challenges we have, and which we're all too aware of, and John's talked about the need to make tough decisions, and sometimes unpopular decisions. We thinking primarily of the people in professional firms who are responsible for growing that firm, thinking about the marketing, the BD, and the people issues around that. I'm a little bit concerned for those people as they go into this transition, because there's two things happening. One, no one has lived through this before. And two, there's a huge pent-up demand from firm leadership to do things better, to grow the firm, to bring in new revenues. And three questions we hear being asked every week are this. The obvious one: how are we going to hit that revenue growth? What does the mix of online and offline look like? And have we got the right people in the right places? And I'm sure for any of you, and I looking through the attendees today and those watching on YouTube, I'm sure you're going to be asked these questions, if not already, over the course of the summer. And underlying all these is a much more pressing personal question, of course, which is what value do you bring as an individual? What are you worth? Do we really still need you? So I'm going to help you answer these quite tough and quite challenging questions in the next 4 or 5 minutes by sharing the 7 principles. I'm a father to a boy who's doing his GCSEs, and I know how tempting it is to duck the tough questions and to invest your time in something more fun instead. But if we can give 4 minutes to this, I think you'll at least have a quite simple, memorable framework to think about. The first thing is this big on or in question. Do we do everything online? Do we bring people into the room? We've quite a simple mantra about this. If you need the I of interaction, if it's about the N of new relationships, then be in the room. So this is an absolute fundamental. If we can be in the room, of course it's easier if it's pure knowledge transfer, if it's sharing intelligence like we're doing today, or if it's a more formal learning experience. We've seen that can work brilliantly virtually, and it's cheaper and it's easier for people to access. But when you want the intimacy, the rapport, you want the interaction between a group especially, or even between one-to-one, you want a really natural discourse. You want a senior associate to a trainee. You want a head of a marketing team working with one of the BDMs or one of the digital managers. Then that works much more fluently when we can often be in the room together. The weird thing we've seen across the professions, and I don't know if any of you who are watching this are thinking the same, is there's been a great effort to tap into what other colleagues want in terms of how they want to act. Do they want to be in the room with us? Do they want to return to office? There's been polls and there's different apps set up for desk sharing and so on. And there's been quite understandably a great sensitivity around judging how comfortable people are about coming back into the workspace and attending events. There has been a deathly silence, though, from many firms in terms of them reaching their clients and talking to their businesses about how do they want to do things. So it's really good to hear Catherine speaking about how they're doing that across London, how they're reaching out to the firms and saying, how is it you want to interact and behave? Because I think we're not far away from a day when we've got a major decision maker flies in from New York on a Thursday afternoon, expects to sit around a boardroom table with 3 or 4 of the people he's been dealing with, and he finds out they're in Guildford, Sevenoaks, or Winchester, and they're not available to chat to him. So we've got to, I'm not saying that's wrong, but we've got to at least ask the question about what do the clients want. The other thing, and I think what Richard and the forum do brilliantly, is we've got to look to others. We've got to see how they're responding, because yes, we're all different, and we don't want to be copycats. We don't want to be Me Too's. But let's at least scan what our peers and competitors are doing. And it's going to spark ideas. It's going to identify some green space. And it will reassure the other people we work with that the actions we're suggesting are not crazy off the chart ideas, because of course there's some safety in numbers and consensus. If others, not necessarily within law, accountancy, consultancy, but other sensible organizations are acting in this way too, then that really helps us move quickly. The third thing is, I think we need to lift the lid on spending, but do it where there's clear objectives. So a lot of senior finance people, a lot of equity partners I've spoken with over the last 14 months are quite open about the fact that actually it's been fantastic in terms of in terms of entertainment budgets and travel expenses being way down, and you know, that hermit-like entertainment expenses, that's great for the bottom line, and that's going to return. As it does return, I think, especially for the people who are signing off that budget, we've got to be absolutely clear. Why are we having that lunch in Leeds? Why are we taking that flight to Florida? What are the clear objectives? What's the client win from it? There's going to be less lost in the fog, lost in the grey around those expenses. We've also got to engage with clients in new ways. We've had the working world as we know it has had a huge gap year. It's had a year where it's had some horrific experiences. It's had a year where it's had adventures and it's seen new things. And then to expect us to return 12 or 14 months later and want to engage in the same way around the same ideas and the same principles, it is ludicrous. So we've got to learn from, you know, what have we seen during that gap year? People have seen pinpoint focus. They've seen speed. They've seen the use of technology. They've seen the integration of channels. So let's not forget that and just return to business as usual, or something like a new normal. It's going to be very, very different. The final three things, and this one particularly is very close to my heart, because I spend a lot of my time coaching and running workshops for partners and senior associates and how they engage. And this is not an absolute across the board, but there's certainly been some evidence, and L&D people are saying this to me as well, and divisional heads are seeing it. There's been some evidence of a bit of a return during home working to some of the bad old habits, or in terms of communication. A little bit of what I call the narcissism of senior accountants and lawyers and consultants leading with what they offer, what they can do, rather than wrapping it around what's the client need. Let's start with you. Let's focus on what you're doing. And only then will I reflect back how we can help you. So I think we need an investment. If you're responsible for, you know, and the success of your firm depends on how well your senior people are engaging with prospective clients and existing accounts. We need to ensure that they're match fit. It's a different pitch, and have they got a little bit rusty? And can we ensure that as we move back into a face-to-face world, that they're as sharp as can be in that area? Point around, coming back to your strategy piece, Richard, and about how we make decisions, how we gain the authority quickly. There's one of two things I see working really well. Either you've got the personal authority within the firm to make those decisions quickly and to carry the cynics with you, or you're doing it through building consensus very quickly. If that's not the case, then perhaps as we went into the pandemic, a project team, a dedicated project team around how we go through this transition, which has a mandate to make decisions and carry the rest of the firm with it, I think will help that speed and help to get things done quickly. Final point I want to share with you is, I think this transition, this flexibility, this hybrid economy demands a hybrid team. The people you have today, the skills that are needed, the depth, the capacity is different now from what it was in February 2020. And it's going to change many times over the next 6 to 9 months. So absolutely have that core employed team, but also think if we have a peak in demand for certain certain resources. We need to drive people to events. We need more experience around video, around digital. We need to sort out all our data issues. Bring that experience in. Bring it in interims, in consultants. Bring it in freelancers, and make sure that when they come in, then there's a transfer of knowledge so that your own team is stronger as a result. So you hit what needs to be done today, and you're also boosting your core employed team for the future.